Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. I think it's been like a month, right? Welcome, everybody. Happy June. I hope everybody's enjoying the end of the school year for the children and has great plans ahead. So, what are we going to talk about today? There's lots of things going on in immigration. I'm going to start with the fact that there has not been any major reform in terms of an amnesty. We have a lot of people calling saying, I saw somebody somewhere say that all undocumented immigrants can now just get green cards or work authorization. That's not true. There hasn't been anything that allows just everybody without rhyme or reason to just move forward with their cases. Although the last 2 years under the Biden administrations have been extremely fruitful in the types and amounts of cases that we are able to complete. Lots of people have come back with green cards, have successfully gone through the green card process. Lots of people have been naturalized. We're closing cases by the dozen, and by that I mean successfully closing them where people have their green cards, visas, and citizenships. But in terms of one big overall amnesty, that hasn't happened. So we do take every case on its own merit. Sometimes a wife will come, I will say, yes, I can help you. And she says, what about my husband? And I start asking her questions. And then we come to a point where I say, unfortunately, I have to speak directly to your husband before I can give you an answer. Okay. That is how important every detail in immigration is, from how many times you entered, when you entered, what happened at the border, what has happened in the United States since you entered. All of those things matter and can make a big difference in a person's case. So that's just my overall observation. Another one, which is very exciting, is we've had several people who are dreamers, the recipients of DACA, who have successfully traveled on advanced paroles and come back. And we're now, a lot of the times, they're able to move their cases forward. And we're very, very, very excited about that. What do I want to talk about? We are aware that there is an extremely long delay for non-immigrant visas, especially for tourist visas. There are consulates that have dates only open in 2024. When it comes to non-immigrant visas, meaning they are not green cards, right? There are two categories: non-immigrant, meaning temporary, and immigrant visa, meaning you will be getting a green card once you step your foot inside of the United States. There is a difference in processing. For the non-immigrant visas, there are many different categories, but the backlog for the tourist visa, which is a B2 visa, is by far the longest. What have we noticed? One, if you're a citizen or have a legal residency in more than one country, you can try different consulates. It all depends on what type of processing does the consulate have. If the consulate uses ultra-docs, then once you log in and you sign up, you will have to choose the consulate in which you will be going for the visa. And it is actually not easy to switch from one consulate to the other. It requires an email and an approval and an actual transfer and reopening of the account in order to be able to log in and schedule with the other one. We always advise to take the first available date, because you can always log in at 12 o'clock in the morning every single day and see if there are earlier appointments that are available, and then you can switch over to them. That's one. Two, if there are exigent circumstances, if there are emergency under which you have to travel. For example, we have had clients who've had non-immigrant work visas that had to get back into the country urgently, medical reasons, family reasons, work reasons, and they had actual documents showing that. You can request an emergency appointment at the embassy. And it is up to the embassy itself to approve that appointment. Okay. If you are successful, then we always advise to actually keep the appointment that you've scheduled, right? Even if that requires a little bit more expense or unscheduled travel. The reason that we're asked for that is because it is extremely hard to switch appointments. Take the first available appointment. It is much easier to play with the system and request emergency appointments than it is to just sit, because the list can keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, or it may get better. We don't know. When it comes to immigrant visa appointments, that's when a person will be coming into the country and actually getting a green card once they're in. Those appointments are typically scheduled by the consulate itself. You will go through a process called the consular processing, right? And then the embassy will schedule appointments. We're actually seeing those appointments pretty regularly. I would say within 6 months of being documentarily qualified, but those are not the same across the border. There are embassies that are much more efficient. They have bigger staffing. They're just bigger embassies that process more cases. And there are embassies that are open, but we see a much slower flow of immigrant visa appointments. People always ask, what do I need for the appointment? And they usually ask it at the time when we're just starting to do consular processing. And that's actually a conversation I had with a client yesterday. And you have to understand, one, requirements are flexible. Depending on what time of the year we're talking about, the consulate may be asking for transcripts, may be asking for proof of filings, for different types of things. So requirements are constantly being updated, and sometimes they are tailored to a specific case. So until the appointment is actually scheduled and we get the instructions from the embassy, we can't tell you in general what you're going to have with you, because there are certain things that everybody has to have with them. Marriage certificate, if it's marriage, birth certificates, your unexpired passports. Those are things that are not going to be up for debate. But when it comes to financial obligations and other things that have to do with the reciprocity schedule, those are much more fluid, and where we know based on our experience what embassies have asked in the past. Every case is treated differently, and there are cases that are alike, but in which the consulate asks not two different, but like, let's say, more evidence or more documents in one that they did in the other. Okay, that has happened. So what is the procedure for that? Typically, when it has to do with both non-immigrant and immigrant visas, when we know the date of the interview, we have instructions as to what that specific embassy or consulate want the client to bring with them. At that point, we work with you to register, the appointment, for you to have all of the documents. And then you have what's called a prep session with an attorney, especially when it comes to people who are traveling from United States with waivers to attend their appointments. Those appointments are very important. And sometimes we have even more than. What we do is we look over the whole case, all of your answers, your history. We ask you questions. We tell you what's going to happen at the embassy and what types of questions to be prepared for. And you leave us with a stack of documents to take with you to the embassy. Overwhelming majority of people, above 95%, do fine with no issues. Everything, you're prepared for everything, you do well. However, there's a small percentage of cases where the embassy says, no, we also want to see such and such. And at that point, we get on the phone with you and we tell you what is needed, what is required, because when they tell you what they want, it's usually in writing. And then there's a tiny percent of cases that just get denied, where the embassy is asking for additional waivers. And those are overwhelmingly always, I'm not even going to say overwhelmingly, those are always cases where there are things that the client did not disclose. Most importantly, overlooked criminal history back home, entries where they were detained and sent back, did not disclose to us if they were not fingerprinted, instances where they have used fraudulent names, documents, or have otherwise misrepresented immigration to the officials. Those are the people who get stuck. And when I say stuck, overwhelming majority of them return. It's just the amount of time that they are stuck abroad is longer, because they will need additional waivers depending on what the issue in the case is. But those are a tiny fraction of cases. They're very, very small. I would say it would be like 1 out of 100 that actually experiencing those issues. And it's always times when we have either advised you not to go, or there are things that come up at the interview that neither the office nor the consulate were aware of ahead of the time, because they would have not even scheduled an interview, or the waiver would have not been approved, or it would have been the combination of the two. Okay, so those are the issues that I'm seeing come up recently. That's why I want to address it with you, because people are asking the questions about that a lot. And that is why we take time to prepare you for the interview, and don't rush through it. And a lot of the times, our clients need more than one, because they walk away and they have additional questions, so they remember something that they didn't remember before. And sometimes when we do it twice, when the person is still in the United States, and then when the person is about to go for an interview in their home country, just to make sure that they have all the information that they need and all the answers that they need. Okay, so that's on what's happening at the embassies. Hope this was informative, and if you have any questions, you're always welcome to give us a call or email us, schedule a consultation with one of our attorneys, and we can always answer that. One little thing I wanted to mention is that the consular processing applies to both family-based and business immigration, and we handle both. We have a dedicated department just handles business immigration, and then we have our family side of it. The issues that come up are often similar in both, but also each side has their own nuances. If you have a consular processing embassy question and yours is either investment or a business visa, please don't hesitate. Give us a call as well. We can handle that, help you through that process as well. All right, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a sunny and beautiful day and enjoys their weekend. And I will see you next Thursday, hopefully with some great news. You never know what the week may bring. Thank you and have a good day.